Well, hello again, everybody here in Chanute. Chris Conklin with the Chanute channel coming back at you again. This time I thought we'd talk a little bit about the Super Bowl. It is that weekend. It is 2016, and we've got two teams who are going to be head-to-head vying for that championship and that football trophy-looking little thing that you kind of like, whatever happens. Anyway, so if you haven't had an opportunity to make your reservations or get your tickets or head your way over to Northern California, you still got a little bit of time, but it's going to cost you a pretty penny. Now, some people might get tickets through a broker, or they might take their chances and see somebody around the area trying to sell tickets, even though that they're going to be cracking down very heavily on scalpers this year. So a lot of people get them online. Well, I decided to do a little checking and see one of the more popular places online to get tickets at the last minute, and I went to eBay. And I was surprised and not surprised at what the tickets were going for. To give you an idea, on the average, this is overall average, they're running anywhere from about $12,000 to $15,000 per ticket, and that's not even for a prime seat. Not even for a prime seat. Now you can go to the actual one of the brokers, which I did. They are showing some ticket locations still available, and if you really want to, you can take up to 20 of your friends with you, and they have, as of the time that I looked up online, they do have one Clubhouse that is still available. So what a deal there. It's only $250,000. So what more can you add? By the time you split that up amongst 20 of your friends, hey, it's not all that bad. You're still back up there in that $12,000 to $15,000 a person type thing, right? And if you get the Clubhouse for $250,000, you also get all the food you want and all the beer you can drink. Free. It's included in the price. And you get to stay way up in that little booth up there and look out at the glass and things like that. Now, if you want to get down into your little seating area, well, you do have, a few seats down there that you can actually get out of the booth and look into the game in that nature. Now, getting back to eBay a little bit, what I found was, the most recent sale that I could tell was for 2 tickets, and sold for over $40,000 on eBay. Over $40,000. Now, that was just a bidding group. Now, the interesting thing is in the last few minutes that the bid was in existence, it skyrocketed from about $15,000 all the way up to over $40,000. But that's not the best one. The best one was for an auction of 4 tickets. Okay, granted, they're 4 tickets now. $165. $165. I mean, what can you do with that kind of money here in Chanute? But if you really have that money and you want that once-in-a-lifetime experience, then go for it. Get that off your bucket list so you don't have to worry about it that much anymore. How much money is being spent on a Super Bowl? Well, the advertisements this year are the highest in history. We now have bumped up to the $5 million per 30-second ad. And they are all sold out. You can't even get one, even if you have the money to pay for it. I don't know if you had an opportunity to watch the special that was on a couple nights ago about what to expect in the Super Bowl ads. It was about a 2-hour special, and they showed, I don't know if they showed them all, but they showed quite a few. And, they ranked it down to viewer preference and the #1 ad. And, of course, Budweiser, they sponsor a majority of it. And this particular Super Bowl, Pepsi is the major sponsor. So, there's 2 types of people that typically will watch the Super Bowl. There's the sports fanatics and the fans, and they're either going to go for the Patriots or the Broncos. And then there's those that like the entertainment value, which is the commercials and the halftime show. And both this year are promising to exceed expectations. We will see. Now, first, going to the sports-minded people. Now, I don't know what kind of fan you are. I mean, most people around here were really counting on the Chiefs getting in there. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. Then there was a good group of people that were hoping Green Bay would make it. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. Well, now you have the Patriots and the Broncos. What I was able to find out through my researches recently today was that the Patriots are favored over 50. I think out of 50 prime analysis, people that do the analysis, like ESPN and all these other people, I think they made 50 different types of analysis on the outcome of Sunday's game, and the Patriots were favored 3-1. That means they got 43. I think it was or 33. I guess it would have been. They got 33 wins, and the Broncos, through the analysis and their little formulas and their little calculators and all those whiz-bang computer things, only won 17 times. So it's going to be kind of interesting. Will the Broncos upset this? Will they throw all of the stats way out the bat? Well, again, if you got a little money to throw down on the table, you can bet on anything. Bookies are taking bets for basically every second of the game. Who's going to get the ball? Who's going to receive the ball? Who's going to catch it? How many yards are they going to run? How long will it take to get the first point scored? Who's going to throw the first ball? Who's going to catch the first ball? I mean, they're betting on everything. Everything. So to me, I think it's just out of control. CBS has got the rights to broadcast, and they paid a huge amount of money to do that. And of course, they're getting a huge chunk of it back and making a profit on them. And but everybody involved is making an enormous amount of money on this several-hour event. Okay, so getting back to going there, if you want to go at the last minute, you might get lucky and maybe catch a last-minute deal. You can fly out Saturday night or Sunday morning. I don't know if I would chance Sunday morning or not because the kickoff in California is at 3:25, but that's up to you. Or you can jump in your car right now and start heading that way, and then maybe you can get it. But even if you can get that last-minute deal, the numbers that they're forecasting, okay, is that you're still going to pay $2,000 to $5,000 per ticket. Okay, and those are not going to be prime seats. Those are up in the nosebleed section where you need the binoculars to actually see these little things crittling around. Your hotel rooms right now are running $2,000 to $3,000 a night. $2,000 to $3,000 a night. Now there are some cheaper ones that run. Maybe $800 to $1,500 a night, $1,200 a night, but there's a 3 to 4 night minimum. So you're still looking at, anywhere from $4,000 to $6,000 just to lay your head down. Okay, the traffic and the people there, even though the stadium itself cannot seat the number of people expected to turn out, they're expecting crowds over this weekend of over 1 million people. 1 million people. Now, the news has been reporting and interviewing people who live there. And a lot of them are not happy about this because they're going to be locked in. The traffic's going to be terrible. The crowds all over the place. The roads are going to be blocked, and unless you get in your house, on Friday afternoon and lock yourself in until Monday morning, you're pretty well done for. Some people have decided that we're going to leave town. We're going to go and visit Cousin Eddie and have a weekend of it, out there in the desert and just get away from it all and list their house with a broker who will find, the right people to rent your house for 3 or 4 nights, and they're getting upwards of $3,000 a night. for most of those people out there, $3,000, that's their mortgage payment. So in one night, they have basically paid their whole month worth of housing expenses right there. So it's, there is that type of thing. So your airfares, there's still some available depending upon what time of day that you're willing to travel. Most of the times you're going to have to come back on Monday or Tuesday. Again, you're looking at staying extra nights possibly. If you drive, plan on spending a lot of money on parking, especially if you're driving out in an RV. If you decide you want to jump in the old motorhome, the family truckster, and head on out to California, bypass Wally World and go all the way up north, it could cost upwards of $2,000 total for parking, depending upon where all you go. There will be no overnight parking allowed. Parkings will open up at 9 a.m. and close 2 hours after the game ends. Gates will open at 11, okay, California time, with kickoff being at 3:25. So a lot of people are going to be standing at the gates, waiting to come in and go. Get in there, find your seat, do what you're going to do, and have a good time, blah, blah, blah. There will be a lot of entertainment. There's a lot of things to see, a lot of things to do. But you cannot leave your RV or your bus or your station wagon, SUV, whatever you're going to drive, cannot be parked there overnight. So you have to find alternative means for parking, which means you're going to have to go to an RV park, which have got their rates skyrocketed, or pay outrageous amounts of money to pay for parking. Even if you stay at a hotel, a lot of them are now charging for the parking. I mean, the Best Western as a good example, that normally gets about $100, $150 a night on just a normal night, it has got their rates at $1,200 a night for this weekend. So let's say that you get in there, you found a way to get down there, you paid for the airline tickets, you got a good deal, let's say around $800,000 round trip per person. You get there, you either rent a car, which is on average going for $200 to $250 a day with a 4-day minimum, or you take public transportation. And there's a lot of public transportation available. You can get in a van, you can take a cab, you can do whatever you're going to want. But again, expect to pay skyrocketing prices for all of that. So now you've put all that aside, you're pumped up, you're ready to go, and you pull into the parking lot at 9 a.m. on Sunday morning, and you're all fired up for a tailgate party. Well, guess what? It's not going to be allowed. They have prohibited tailgate parties. Why? Because they have official tailgating areas that you can pay hundreds of dollars to go in. And then they'll, in their little tents and their little areas, they'll have your tailgate parties. So if you plan on driving and you plan on parking there and you want to do any kind of tailgating whatsoever, the only thing that you're allowed is beverage and non-cooking style food. In other words, you can't fire up a grill. You can't take your smoker out there. You can't do anything. You can pull that ham sandwich that you got from the gas station and you can eat that, and have a good time, but you're not going to be able to go out there and have a real tailgate party like a lot of people are used to, unless you want to shell out some serious bucks and go to one of the tents that have those tailgate parties going on in those particular areas. So we're in the stadium now, okay? And most people, they want to have a couple beers or a couple sodas, some water, maybe some food to munch down on during the game. That's going to set you back on an average of $35 to $50 a person at a minimum. Now, they're charging $10 for a regular beer, $10 for Anheuser-Busch beer. Now, if you want something specialized on that, you're going to pay a lot more. You can get wine. 7 ounces of wine is going to cost you $12. You want a bottle of regular water, just a 21-ounce bottle of water, water here, agua, H2O, Even though that California's gotten more rain than they know what to do with right now, but they're going to charge you $5 a bottle for water. You cannot bring anything in on your own. If you think you're going to be able to sneak it in, you got another thing coming. Security is tight, as you would well imagine. They're inspecting all bags, anything that looks out of the ordinary, and they're going to confiscate any consumable items. Not only that, probably more applicable for women, if you have lotions or anything like that, they have to be in those Ziploc bags. If you've done any flying, remember when you used to have everything into the Ziploc bags? It's going to be the same thing. So if you go, take as little as absolutely possible, or as little as you actually need. Don't get caught with video cameras, any kind of cameras. Now, I don't know how they're going to work this with the cell phones and the technology. That doesn't make any sense to me. So everybody's going to be out there, taking selfies and doing this and doing that. I don't think they can do much about that. So you're in there. If you want a piece of pizza, which could either be something that they baked in there, which would probably be a frozen pizza, or they brought in 100,000 pizzas from Pizza Hut or Domino's or Papa John's. It could be just about any of them. It's $8 a slice per pizza. Okay, now you figure that they cut that into 8 slices. So do the math. That's a $50 pizza, roughly overall. Nachos, $6. If you want a sausage, bratwurst, frankfurter, something along those lines, that's going to cost you about $6 to $8. A little bag of candy, you can buy that down here at the store for a buck and a half, $2 tops. Okay, $6 is what they're going to get for that candy. If you want a burger, okay, burgers are good. $12 just for the burger. You want fries to go with that? Oh, that's another $8. Okay, you want a barbecue sandwich? That's another $12. Now, a lot of these items are also going to be what they're serving at the tailgate tents. All right, so you're in there, you're shelling out your cash, you're having a great time, and your team is either losing or they're not losing, but at some point you probably don't care just yet, and the halftime show comes on. Now, there's been a lot of interesting halftimes at Super Bowl, and the interesting facts that I found about the halftime show on the analysis is that their viewer rates go way up during halftime. And then after halftime, the viewer rates cut back again. So there's a lot of people there that are tuning in for the halftime show. Now, I kind of wondered in the back of my mind, I mean, we've had some really serious halftime fails, with the Janet Jackson thing. Supposedly was an accident. Yeah, that I watched it. I think it was planned. But irregardless, they've had some phenomenal stars, outrageous shows, and just like the thousands of people that go into putting that together is just phenomenal. And it kind of went through my head. It's like, okay, what does a halftime show cost? How much do you have to pay the artist to come in? I mean, you got 2 or 3 different artists that come in. Well, first thing that shocked me is I found out that the artists don't get paid. And in some instances, they have to pay to perform. And I kind of get that at a certain point, because if you're trying to promote something, you got a new album coming out or something along those lines, you have just captivated over 120 million people right there. So at best, they're getting to come in and perform for free. On the other scale, they got to chip in and pay for everything else. Now, if I understand the numbers correctly, the halftime shows are always sponsored. This year it's sponsored by Pepsi. And as I was trying to get information about how much it costs for the halftime shows, The only thing that I could really kind of summate out of the entire thing was, like, obviously Pepsi's paying for everything. If they make any deals with any of the artists as far as like getting them there, putting them up, feeding them or whatever, that's up between the artist and Pepsi. It has nothing to do with NFL or the stadium or any of that kind of thing. Then Pepsi has to buy the halftime show air slots at $5 million per 30 seconds. So now these shows are supposed to last someplace between 12 and a half to 13 minutes. You can do the math and figure out where it is. I guess these large corporations like, Pepsi and Anheuser-Busch and all these other people, I mean, they have billions of dollars in their advertising budget. So this is really just nothing to them. But just like putting it all into perspective, you've got probably 75, 80,000 people that are paying out. I don't know. Some of them got in, on the Facebook, on the face value ticket price, which I think was anywhere from $100 and some to $500 a ticket. But those went fast, and a lot of those went through a lottery system. And a lot of people that won those were banking on their team to be at the Super Bowl, and because they're not, i.e. the Chiefs, and I did track a couple down to the Kansas City area, so I'm sure that they were buying them to go to the Chiefs game, but because that's not happening, they don't want to go, and they throw their tickets out there for sale, which the two tickets that I was telling you about that were on eBay for over $40,000. That was from the Kansas City area. But, again, do the math. You got 75, 80,000 people in the stands, fans viewing the game, that all paid to get there. Then you got all the concessions. Then you got all of the parking. Then you got all of, the souvenirs and the keepsakes and this and that and the other thing. I mean, we're talking billions and billions of dollars. And from a production side, I was real curious as to what does it really take to put on a televised production like this. And it was a little bit more than what I had expected. Putting aside the millions of dollars in cost just to get for over 1,000 staff. They've got 75 cameras. Each of them have at least one camera operator, if not more. Then you've got the broadcast trucks, the broadcast satellites. Then you have your backup feeds, its own power and generators, so that no matter what happens, they got a signal that's going out. Plus you've got your commentators and things like that. I mean, it's millions and millions of dollars. And it's like, I'm thinking, it's like, where are you going to put 75, cameras, with probably the least costly camera being $100,000, which are probably the ones that are going to be floating around down on the field, up to the $1 million cameras that are broadcasting from different booths and upper areas. And then, of course, I haven't heard anything about the blimp. I think maybe they have banned the blimps now from the flyover zone. Oh, that's another thing that I read. A good way to land yourself in jail real fast is to get caught with one of these drone things. Yeah, that'll get you really, really fast. So anyway, I thought I'd share a little bit of information about the Super Bowl. Being as it's Super Bowl weekend, and it's important to a lot of people. Whether you watch it or you don't, whatever you do, have a good day. The weather's not going to be too bad for it. If you are out and about and you do party pretty good, well, be conscious of that, and your condition as far as getting behind the wheel, and have a designated driver, and don't ruin a great day or a great evening with something silly or stupid. So this is Chris Conklin with the Chanute channel, and until next time, so long.